As the weeks passed, I continued to visit the social hub. It became a place where anticipation and hesitation danced side by side. I never truly planned to see him. At least, that's what I told myself. But a part of me always hoped I would. Sometimes I would catch a glimpse of him from across the room. Other times I would pass by him, close enough to feel the air shift between us. And occasionally, when fate was bold, our eyes would meet. Those lingering glances, they were weighty, wordless, filled with an energy that neither of us could deny. But still, no words were spoken. We were strangers, orbiting each other's gravity, pulled into the same space again and again. I found myself wondering about him, what his voice sounded like, what made him laugh, what he thought about when he was quiet. I wanted to know more, yet I was afraid of what that might awaken in me, or in him. There was something almost sacred about the silence between us. Over time, I began to notice how much power existed in those small moments, how much a glance could say without ever forming a sentence. I would go home and replay them in my mind. The tilt of his head, the brief flicker in his eyes before looking away, the way he always seemed to be there, somehow, when I was. Still, I didn't know his name, and he didn't know mine. But the weight of our silence was beginning to speak volumes. Then, life, as it always does, moved me along. Other obligations pulled my attention. I had pre planned commitments and places to be, and for a few months, I drifted away from the social hub, out of sight, out of space. He began to fade, not from memory, but from routine. And for a while, I didn't think about him at all. Summer waned, the air cooled, autumn wrapped its quiet arms around everything. It was right before Halloween when I found myself returning to the social hub, this time with my family. There was comfort in familiar places, and on that particular evening, I was simply grateful to be out, doing something light and joyful. He wasn't on my mind. But then, as if conjured by thought I hadn't even formed yet, he appeared. I saw him across the room, and then he walked past me. Our eyes met, and this time, it was different. The magnetic pull between us surged stronger than ever. It wasn't just a passing jolt, it lingered, and it shook something loose inside me, something I didn't know was still waiting to be touched. It frightened me in a good way. It reminded me that my heart was still alive, that even after all these years of quiet longing and silent settling, desire could still flicker inside of me, like fire on the wind. I didn't see him again that night. He disappeared into the crowd, back into the noise and light. But that brief, electric moment stayed with me. Later, as I drove home, the memory of our gaze haunted me, in the best way. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, that it wasn't real, that I was imagining the intensity to justify the strange rush I felt when our eyes met. But no matter how I reasoned with myself, deep down, I knew the truth. It was real, and I wasn't the only one who felt it. After that, every time I returned to the social hub, something extraordinary happened. He was there, always there. Without fail, we would find ourselves in the same part of the building, sometimes mere feet apart. I stopped believing it was coincidence. It began to feel fated, purposeful, like two magnets drawn back to one another, no matter how far they had been pulled apart. He didn't speak to me, and I didn't speak to him. But the connection between us was undeniable, tense, gentle, familiar, and somehow sacred. In time, I came to understand that we were standing in the space between spark and flame, that tender charged pause before something beautiful, either catches fire or fades to ash. We were suspended there, in the stillness, and I wasn't ready to walk away from it. Not yet.